Wow, we just witnessed a historic game between Inter Miami and the Philadelphia Union. 10 goals in one match. Absolutely bonkers. And it was just one goal short of the MLS record, which was 11 goals by the LA Galaxy versus Colorado Rapids in 1998. But this game was absolutely insane. Now, obviously, the second half wasn't as entertaining as the first half, which we'll talk about. The first half was historic, most goals ever in one half, or at least in the first half in MLS history. But there is a lot to take away from this game. We're going to get into it. But before we do that, do us a favor. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below. It helps us out. Also, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We just hit 13,000 subscribers, which we're very thankful for, so we appreciate that. Also, make sure you hit the little bell notification so you never miss a video, and the hype button if you're watching on mobile. And this is presented by FanDuel, our proud sponsor of the show. So let's get into the first half. The first half, absolutely crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. So in the first half, Philadelphia scores in the 4th minute by Oloski. There was a beautiful play. I think it was, I'm trying to remember which right back. I think it was the right back. It was Westfield. Westfield had a beautiful play exchange between him and Cavan Sullivan. Cavan Sullivan had a nice ball over the top, and Westfield headed it to Oloski. He scores, puts Union up 1-0, 4 minutes in. And at that point, the Union were expected by many to lose this game by 3, 4, 5-0 because they are the worst team in Major League Soccer, at least by points. They only had 7 points heading into this game. No one was expecting the Union to be good. They expected them to lose badly, right? So, Union score first, looking good for them. Just 7 minutes later, Oloski has the ball. He goes around. Dane St. Clair. Dane St. Clair fouls him inside the box and has a penalty called on him, and he gets a chance to score to put them up 2-0, and he converts the penalty. He has a brace 10 minutes in this game. The Union are up 2-0. You're thinking at this point, I'm thinking at this point, Miami's in trouble. They're down 2-0 to the Union at home. This is not a good sign. Union haven't really done this all season long, and now they're beating Miami pretty handedly. But in the 13th minute, Berterame is able to score off of a pass from Rodrigo DePaul to Messi, which DePaul probably should have passed it to Segovia. He was wide open, not really sure what he was thinking there, but he passed to Messi, and I'm not saying it was bad to pass to Messi, it was because Messi was being covered, but the ball did deflect off the defender, but Messi was still able to get to it. He finds Berterame. Berterame actually, it was supposed to go to Rodrigo DePaul. Rodrigo DePaul couldn't get a touch on it. Goes to Berterame, he scores, puts it, cuts the deficit by 1. It's 2-1. Okay? But then, in the 20th minute, Damiani scores off the rebound. And the play really started with Cavan Sullivan, who was incredible in this game. Cavan Sullivan, this is one of the better performances I have seen from Cavan Sullivan in all the times I've watched him play for the Union. Now, the kid is only 16 years old, so we got to cut him some slack, right? He's still growing into his own. And you want to see him get better on a year-to-year basis. But this was the first game where I saw the flashes, and I'm like, you know what? I see it. I see why the hype. I see the potential. I see the wow play. He passed the eye test, and he got this goal started, and they scored because of him. He split 2 defenders, Yannick Bright and Ian Frey, and he just looked like a cut above everyone else in this game. I mean, he looked like he's doing stuff that most MLS vets don't do, and he's doing it at 16 years old. So the Philadelphia Union go up 3-1. Okay? Now Miami is really going to have to dig themselves out of a hole. But Luis Suarez scored an absolute beautiful bicycle kick after a good pass from Ian Frey, which I saw someone in the comments section, a friend of mine, say that Ian Frey's afraid of crosses like a vampire. You know, that's maybe his new nickname, which is so funny. But he really is afraid to cross the ball. He's just not very good at it, and he does seem very timid when he's trying to make a cross. But he's able to find Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez scores with the bicycle kick. You know, La Tortuga going in the time machine, right? Scores, draws the deficit back down to 2 by 1 goal, so it's 3-2. Then Berterame was able to score off of a beautiful pass from Messi in the 42nd minute. Messi turns, passes to Berterame. Berterame turns, scores left side, gets his first half brace. First brace, I think, for Berterame in his Inter Miami tenure. And Miami has just drawn the game up 3-3. Looking really good now, right? Then, in the 44th minute, Rodrigo de Paul, first off, Messi gets fouled, but they let the play go on. Rodrigo de Paul shoots it. It goes off. I think it was saved by Andre Blake, but off the rebound, Luis Suarez scores. Now it's 4-3. So Miami was down 3-1 in the first half. Then they score 3 unanswered goals to go 4-3. The game was insane, guys. I'm telling you, like I don't know if I'm gonna have a voice by tomorrow because there's just so much crazy things going on. We're still talking about the first half. We're 6 minutes in. We're still talking about the first half. That's how crazy it was, right? So 4-3. Then Alosky draws another penalty because of a handball. And the Philadelphia Union get a chance to tie it up, and they do. He converts his second penalty of the game, gets his first half hat trick, and the game is tied at the half 4-4. Okay? So in the first half, the Union had 14 shots, 8 on target, expected goal rate of 3.8, and Inter Miami had 7 shots, 6 on target in the first half, and expected goal rate of 3.04. Inter Miami did dominate possession in the first half, 65-35, but this was just one of the best halves I've ever seen in Major League Soccer. It set the record for most goals in the first half, 8 goals. There is no person who loves soccer, football, whatever you call it, whatever you personally call it. There is not a person who watched that first half and was not enjoying it. That was beautiful. It was fun. It was exciting. It was thrilling. Everything you would want. Everyone was on the edge of their seat. They didn't know how many goals were going to be scored, and there could have probably been more if it weren't for some heroics by Dane St. Clair in the second part of the first half. But the first half, I was very impressed with Cavan Sullivan, and I was very impressed with Berterame and Luis Suarez, and then Messi had the 2 assists. Obviously, he had a good game too. Okay, going into the second half, I thought we were going to get more of the same just because the defenses were both bad, and I thought they were going to get even worse because of tired legs. I thought they're going to have more chances. But in the second half, and it took 81 minutes until someone finally scored another goal. 81 minutes, which was Luis Suarez to get his hat trick, right? It took the 81st minute for someone to finally score again. It was a deadlock. It was very boring in the second half, to be honest with you. But I want to say this too. They took Cavan Sullivan out in the 65th minute. I think they're trying to, maybe Bradley Cornell's trying to limit how many minutes he gets because he is only 16. I don't know if it's like some child labor laws or something like that. I don't know if you can only play a certain amount. I'm joking, obviously. But, I mean, he's only 16 years old. But he takes him out in the 65th minute. And what really was bad, though, was Lionel Messi was holding his right leg. I think it was his right leg. It was one of his, I'm pretty sure it was his right leg. In the 71st minute and asked to be subbed out. He asked to be subbed out. Hey everyone, quick word from our sponsor, FanDuel. If you're into soccer like I am, you already know how exciting La Liga, the Premier League, and MLS matches can get. With FanDuel, you can make it even more fun by placing bets on your favorite teams and matches across all 3 leagues. Whether it's a Premier League showdown, a La Liga thriller, or an MLS game with your local club, FanDuel makes it easy and exciting to bet on what you watch. Just remember, you have to be 21 years or older to play. Please bet responsibly and only if you're of legal age and in a state where it's allowed. Download the FanDuel app or head over to FanDuel.com, sign up, and get in on the action. Thanks for supporting the channel through FanDuel. It looks like he's got an injury. Now, I don't know the severity of it. I don't know if it's a hamstring, if it's a calf. We don't know. But he asked to be subbed out in the 71st minute, and he got subbed out in the 72nd minute, and he walked right back to the locker room, and he looked pissed off. And we know the World Cup is 3 weeks away, and he wants to play for Argentina. Might be the last time he ever plays for him in a World Cup. Most likely. I'd be betting it probably would be. But this is the last World Cup he'll ever play for Argentina, and he wants to be healthy. It's at home, United States. Obviously, it's where he lives now. He wants to be healthy to play for his country. And he looks like he's banged up a little bit. So we'll wait to see what happens with him. But he's definitely injured. We just don't know the severity of it yet. Okay? But that was something that caught my eye and caught everybody's eye. But back to the game in the 81st minute, Luis Suarez completes his hat trick. Okay? And then DePaul scores in the in added time. Puts a dagger in him, scores 6-4. Union kind of were done after the first half. They They spent all their capital in the first half, and they just didn't have it in them in the second half. But you expect this. They're one of the worst teams in the league. They got 7 points this year. This team has 7 points through 15 games. That's why, obviously, there deserves to be relegation in MLS, right? Because teams like this don't deserve to stay up in the first division. After a season like that, they don't. Even if they're better than their record says, they don't deserve it. Okay, that's a whole other show we'll talk about, right? This was a crazy game. I mean, MLS is going to be off for 2 months. There won't be another game until late July. This was a great finale. How many people would have expected if I told you that Inter Miami were going to score, or this game that Inter Miami played in was going to have 10 goals? How many people would have thought that Messi would have no goals? He had 2 assists, but that's just a crazy stat to think about, is that 10 goals and Messi didn't have any. But, the injuries probably, and he had, like I said, he had 2 goal contributions because of the assists, but that is crazy. You would expect Messi probably to have a goal or 2 if I told you that there was going to be 10 goals in this game. But Berterame and Suarez performed very, very well. Suarez, 39 years old, scores I think it's his first hat trick for Inter Miami. If not, it's his second one. I mean, you couldn't have asked more from him or Berterame. This was a great performance. Inter Miami's able to get a win. They've been very exciting since they fired Javier Mascherano. They've only lost 1 game. They've won 7 games. They have 1 draw. They're 7-1-1 since Mascherano was fired. And I can assure you that if he was the coach, they would not have scored this many goals. That's just not what they did under him. So Inter Miami is very fun to watch. They score a bunch of goals. They're firing on all cylinders. We'll see what happens during the summer break. Philadelphia Union, a lot of issues right now. We'll see what happens with them during this break. Cavan Sullivan balled out. Alaski balled out. Lot to be, I mean, there's some positive things from this loss. It's obviously sucks to lose if you're the Union, but it's not all doom and gloom. There was some positive from this match. And we'll see what happens going forward. But, man, this was a crazy game. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Was this the most exciting game you can remember for MLS in recent memory? If it's not, let me know down below which game you would think would be more exciting than this. I'd be curious to see what you guys come up with. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that little bell notification so you never miss one of our videos. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.